6-0 in the division because the rest of the division sucks.
This is the best division in football, Tori. Take that step back. We are seeing the true quarterback that he really is, which he is not a very good quarterback.
Welcome to the Man Now, where we taking over. It's time to give you them facts. Won't miss a game or two, cause we here for you and we reporting all of them stats. We coming to you live to keep you updated. Broadcast across the country, we the fan favorites. Break the volume to the max and don't nobody touch it. We cross the topics off the list, addressing every subject. So if you ain't got a clue, then you can tune in and give it 24 hours and we back again. Breaking news, new scoops, we the top dogs. From the fields to the courts, we report it all. Buzzer beaters through these speakers, we the ones to call. Trust us for the news if it's got a ball. Giving you the top stories cause we love the turf. Tell a friend to tune in and where you heard it first. And you listen to the Man Now, we taking over. It's time to give you them stats. You listen to the Man Now, miss a game or two cause we reporting all of them facts. You listen to the Man Now, we taking over. It's time to give you them facts. Turn the speakers up a little loud. Miss a game or two cause we reporting all of them stats. You listen to the Man Hour.
And what is up, everybody? Michael Buckeiser here with the Man Hour. Head over to manhourradio.com. Check out the merchandise page. And we do got new merchandise dropping in just a couple days. We got the Waffle merch coming in hot. Waffle, Mr. Wyatt Williams himself is on tonight. So let's go ahead and welcome him onto the show. What's going on? Man Hour _TW, hashtag Mr. Waffle himself.
What is going on? Man Hour Nation Rise Up logo. That sounds like Buck. What's going on?
Oh, you know, so you guys don't know this, but my computer crashed when Wyatt told me to go to 2 Girls, 1 Cup. And no, I'm totally kidding. But my computer's been acting up and is really, really glitchy. So I'm still trying to figure out the kinks here, but we'll get it worked out eventually, Wyatt. So I did get my spare computer back, so I'll be setting that up probably tonight, like after the show. So, and then it'll be time for me to move because I got a house and pending inspection, I'll be moving in like 15 days. So time for a new studio. Are you ready for that, Wyatt?
That's awesome. I cannot wait. I cannot wait.
You can come over and we can do the show live on the porch. It'll be awesome.
We'll do it. I'll be there.
Speaking of live, the only full-timer we have here on Man Hour now, Man Hour _Tori, Mr. Tori Anderson himself. What's going on, Tori?
It is a beautiful day to be a subscriber.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a great day to be here. I'm happy to be here. I see that Wyatt already turned his hat around because he's already embarrassed about what's going to happen over the next 3 days. So, I mean, if you're going to rep your team, Wyatt.
Yeah, I know. If it's anything like
be embarrassed about it.
If it's anything like we did against the Dodgers, man, I'm hoping it's not. But you know what? There you go. I'm wearing it with pride. I just like wearing my hats backwards.
I'm going to say it's going to be another duel tonight, though. I mean, you got Kyle Hendricks versus is that his name? Is it Kyle Hendricks?
Kyle Hendricks.
Sounds like he belongs in NASCAR.
Exactly.
So automatically, I don't like him. So and you got him and Freddie Peralta dealing. I mean, Freddie Peralta's ERA over his last 7 starts is 1.18 with 27 strikeouts. So far, he's faced the Cubs twice this year with 27 strikeouts against the Cubs.
Yeah, it'll be a good one.
All righty, boys. So we do got an action-packed show for tonight. We're going to talk a little College World Series about how the NCAA screwed NC State. We're going to talk some COVID-19 for the 2021 season, NFL season, I should say. We're going to talk a little Bucks-Hawks as Chris Middleton handled the Hawks in the fourth quarter, actually outscored them if I'm not mistaken. And then, of course, we're going to talk a little bit of Pittsburgh Steelers and buy, sell, or sleeper for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I know I put the Chicago Bears down, but Combs is not here. So he threw a curveball, and we're going with the Philadelphia Eagles. But, Mr. Tori Anderson, do you realize we are just 12 subscribers away from 1,700? We are 12.
Only 12.
We're only 12. So you guys, if you guys are not subscribed at youtube.com/Man Hour, head over there right now. Hit the subscribe button. Share this with a couple friends. Let's get that up to 1,700 tonight. That'll be actually, tonight it's a little stretch. By the end of the week, I would love to see 1,700 guys. So please head over there and subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Man Hour. So speaking of NC State, guys, NC State was a perennial favorite here in the College World Series, but they tested positive for COVID-19. They had four players that were vaccinated that tested positive for COVID-19. So the NCAA said, hey, you guys cannot play because of XYZ. So, Tori, I want to kick it to you first. Do you think the NCAA was right by kicking out NC State of the College World Series?
Yes. And I'm going to say, because if it is the variant and you had 4 players, they are doing it overall for the greater good. They are trying to not let it spread to everybody. And, we're just coming out of this thing. Like, we were finally like, oh, let's I can go out to eat someplace and sit there and enjoy life again. So I think, yes, they're doing the right thing by trying to protect everybody else. Is it awful for them kids on the team? 110%. Yes, it is. It's sad to see, especially for them, because they were a favorite to win it all. So they now get that taken away from them. But a couple people came into contact with whoever, and that's the way it is. I'm okay with it because overall it's for the greater good.
I will save my comments till the very end because you are absolutely wrong on that, Tori Anderson. But Wyatt, what are your thoughts on that?
It goes back to the old saying, money talks and everything else walks. Vanderbilt is a storied baseball program. NC State, I don't even believe has ever even made it this far into the College World Series playoffs.
No, that was South Carolina. I'm sorry. Never mind. I digress.
So NC State's never even made it this far. And at the end of the day, the NCAA is always going to want their blue chip in. We saw it with Michigan State sliding in at the very end for the bracket. We saw it with Ohio State making it. Now we've seen it with Vandy. At the end of the day, money talks and everything else walks. It's that simple. And that's the way it always has been. It's a business before everything else. And that's the way it always will be. I personally don't think it's right. I absolutely think NC State deserved to at least get a shot at it to get in. But at the end of the day, it goes back to the old saying, money talks and everything else walks.
I think you refer to bullshit walks. I am. With that being said, Wyatt, you are absolutely spot on. The NCAA is $1 billion company. They profit $1 billion, over $1 billion every season. And guess what? The student athletes make zero of that. So we digress on that a little bit. But here is the issue that I have with this. Omaha was packed full in the stands, right? They were at capacity, 100% capacity. No fans were wearing masks. No umpires were wearing masks. No broadcasters were wearing masks. They weren't testing people as they were coming into the stands, whatever. But yet you have four players that test positive after they've had the COVID vaccine, which I believe they said if you have the vaccine and you test positive, it's kind of like a false positive type thing. But I don't know the science behind it because I'm not Bill Nye. But with that being said, how can you allow 100% capacity, no mask, no any types of testing before you get into the stadium, but yet you're going to make a team like NC State that had every right to be there, that did nothing wrong throughout the whole season, and they happen to have 4 guys test positive? How is that right? I mean, like, seriously, like, how is that right at all? If you want to penalize a team for getting COVID, you should have had fans wearing masks. You should have been limited capacity. You should have been the six feet apart. Basically, this is NCAA trying to flex their muscle a little bit. That's basically what it is.
Just because flexing their money.
Yeah. So yeah, like for NC State to be kicked out of the College World Series. Well, first of all, they played a game with just 13 players after these guys tested positive. I believe they lost that game, and then the elimination game, or they won that game.
No, they lost 3-1.
Yeah. Oh, okay. But then the very next game, they were going to play with the same 13 players, but they're like, no, you guys can't play now. It makes absolutely zero sense to me, guys. 0 cents. Tori, any follow up on that?
Yeah. The thing is if the other 13, like, if they would have monitored them and let them go, like, if they were showing no signs, they basically just test them every 24 hours to see if there's any more positives. If there's no more positives, I think they should have let them continue to play, because the unknowns is what ends up dominating that. Because if it is the variant, we don't know. No, there's so many unknowns with a lot of it still. So I think they're gonna err on the side of caution.
So how do they know that a fan didn't?
Anything else.
How do they know that a fan didn't bring it in?
There again, 2 weeks from now, we could be talking about there was a mass outbreak at the College World Series.
Yeah.
Who knows? We don't know. So
let me bring up a comment that Drew said here. Shout out to Drew. He is a member over here on the youtube.com page. You could become a member as little as 99 cents. And starting next week, if you are a $2.99 member or higher, we are going to give you behind the scenes fantasy football talk. So if you are a member for $2.99 or more, you get some insights from fantasy football guru Tori and Mr. White himself. So Drew asks, when doesn't the NCAA screw teams? I mean, we saw it this year with Indiana and the Big Ten. Well, I guess that was more of the Big Ten, not the NCAA.
Yeah, that was bogus.
Yeah. So when is the last time the NCAA has actually helped a team instead of screwed them? That's a better question.
I mean, technically they helped Ohio State. if you look at it, depends which side of the fence you're looking at it from.
Yeah. But I thought the Big Ten helped them.
Well, it was a little bit of both.
Yeah, because again, the NCAA is going to be like, Ohio State's probably going to the playoff here. You better think this, because I guarantee you, had my Wisconsin Badgers been undefeated, still had all that stuff, they'd have been like, nope, sorry. But then, it's Ohio State. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No. We're gonna change that rule because you only got 5 games, and so yeah, you're good.
So Wyatt, let me ask you this question. You said the reason why NC State got kicked out was because Vandy was their quote blue chip school, right? The team that is always in there. What if NC State was playing like a Texas Southern or something? You know, some non-relevant baseball school. Do you think NC State would have been kicked out?
No, I really don't. I think they would have given them a shot to play with 13 again. I absolutely think, because when I tally this up, there's a pitcher, there's a catcher, that's 2. There's 4 infielders, that means 6, and there's 3 outfielders, that's 9. That's less than 13 players. So they have enough players to take the field. Heck, they've even got enough to where they can have a designated hitter. So I don't see any reason why they shouldn't have been able to take the field. If you've got 9, even 10, they had 13, I think you should be eligible to play. I mean, if you bring 5 to a basketball court, you can play.
Actually, I think you can play with 4, actually, right, on the basketball court?
4. You can legally play a game of 4.
Yeah.
Well, still, I mean, there you go. So I don't understand why. Well, I understand why. It's like I mentioned, it's because of the money. So yeah, I don't think if it was a Texas Southern school, no, I don't think so. Honestly, I think we could even raise it higher than that. I think if it was, let's just say Kentucky. If it was Kentucky, I don't think they would have cut it off. I think it's just the fact that it was Vandy, and Vandy is the Alabama, the Ohio State of baseball. You know, they're the Kentucky basketball of baseball. They're that big program. So I absolutely think that money was hugely involved in it. And I think if it was a smaller school, I don't think we'd be having these issues right now. I think they absolutely would have let them play it out.
Tori, do you compound those thoughts?
I do, because there again, the NCAA has a penchant towards let our big dogs come and eat no matter what. Because guess what? If those fan bases are following them, that's more money in the stands. That's more money in concessions. That's more money in their pocket. And like Wyatt made a good point about, in the end, the NCAA is still a business. They're still going to try to make their money. They're going to still try to maximize that revenue. I guarantee you, if it would have been a blue chip school that happened to, they'd have found a way to let them keep playing no matter what.
Yeah, much like how LeBron James was contact traced with COVID, and he still got a chance to play in the NBA Finals. Like, you always find a way to keep your stars in there. Why? What are you smiling about? Are you not saying that like that happened?
No, I just thought it was funny. Go ahead.
So, guys, we are going to take our first break. On the other side of the break, we got Would You Rather coming up here. But before we go to break, let me go ahead and address this comment by Mr. Joey himself. He said, thank goodness Combs is not here tonight. I 100% concur. Combs brings this show down so much. It is absolutely ridiculous. So there is my one shot at Combs tonight. Tori, I got another shot.
Hey, look at Streamlabs.
At you later.
Streamlabs jumps in there to support Combs. Look at this. Follow Combs on Twitter at @manhour_C.
So are you saying, Buck, that you're going to replace Combs with LeBlanc?
It could be. You never know. No, I'm totally kidding. But guys, we are going to take a short break. Like I said, on the other side of the break, we have Would You Rather. And Would You Rather is exactly what it sounds like. Would you rather do this or would you rather do that? Hashtag no waffling in this segment, Mr. Wyatt. So you got to pick one way or the other. So guys, we'll be right back after this short little break.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckeyes on with Tori Anderson and the Wyatt Williams tonight. If you guys haven't done so already, like the feed and share this with a couple friends as well. We are 12 subscribers away from 1,700 over here on youtube.com/Man Hour. So head over to youtube.com/Man Hour, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon as we do upload clips each and every day, 4 to 5 times a day, depending on what day it is. You get clips of the night before or the previous week, or sometimes just extra footage itself, because we have 4 guys here on the Man Hour and we have 4 days that we record. So we get extra clips for you there, Tori. So you get to talk about your Brewers. Wyatt gets to talk about whatever he wants to waffle about. And I will talk a little bit about Kansas City Chiefs here. So with that being said, guys, we got Would You Rather, and Would You Rather is brought to you by Thrive Fantasy. Head over to thrivefantasy.com and use promo code MANHOUR. They'll match up to $50 on your first deposit. That is thrivefantasy.com. You can also download that on iOS and Android devices. That's promo code MANHOUR. So Would You Rather, guys, are you ready for it?
Ready.
Ready?
I would rather.
Would you rather be ready or rather not be ready?
I would rather be ready.
Be ready, yeah.
All right here. So last night, guys, we saw a suicide squeeze to end the game between the Detroit Tigers and the Houston Astros. So let me ask you this question here. Would you rather end the game on a suicide squeeze or a walk-off home run? Tori?
It depends. Am I the home team? Well, that's a walk-off, so you'd be the home team. So the suicide squeeze is such a tough play to pull off. So I'm actually going to take the suicide squeeze over a walk-off home run, just because it's harder to pull off that suicide squeeze. Your timing has to be perfect from your guy taking off from third base. So for him to score and to end the game like that, let me take that rather than some guy getting a 97-mile-an-hour meatball that he just annihilates down the middle of the plate. So I'll take the suicide squeeze just because I feel like there's more skill involved in pulling off a suicide squeeze. So I will take that all day long.
All right. Wyatt, what about you?
My favorite thing, I have got to see both. I have seen a walk-off home run, and I have seen a suicide squeeze. I've never seen a walk-off suicide squeeze, but I have seen a suicide squeeze, and they are awesome. I genuinely, this is the most torn I think I've ever been on a would you rather question. Gosh, I think I would rather go with the suicide squeeze. I think so. I think I'm going to jump on board with Tori because, like you said, your timing with not just the base runner, but the bunt has to be placed perfectly. I mean, everything has to be perfect for it to work. Because if it doesn't, if you mess one thing up, that person going into home is out. And, if you've got, it makes 2 outs, and if you don't have another person in scoring position, you can't get them around. So, gosh, it's tough, but I think I'll go. Yeah, I'll go with the suicide squeeze because that is so cool, and plus it's the best name in sports, suicide squeeze. It's just so dope.
Yeah, and I have to agree with both of you guys on this one here. I mean, I've been watching baseball passively for about 10 or 12 years now, and I've seen countless walk-off home runs. And last night was the first time I've ever seen a walk-off, or not a walk-off squeeze, but a suicide squeeze. So definitely a suicide squeeze, 100%. Just because I think I mean, it has to be more rare since that's the first one I've ever seen live. So it was absolutely crazy to see. So with that being said, we are fresh in the NBA finals here, and we have seen game 7s and we've seen sweeps. So I'm going to kick it to Wyatt first here. Wyatt, in the NBA playoffs, no, let's say the NBA finals, all eyes are on you. Would you rather get swept or would you rather get blown out in a game 7?
I would rather get blown out in game 7 because there's a lot more pride to that point because you've at least made it that far. I mean, you get swept in the finals. It is definitely rough. I mean, a lot of people give a lot of, athletes crap like that. Like Braun, he got killed, annihilated when he got swept 4-0 in the finals. So I think most definitely I would rather get blown out in game 7 because at least I made it to game 7. If I lost in 4, it's like, you weren't even in it. It wasn't even a good series. So for you to make it to game 7, you had to at least win 3. So, I would definitely take getting blown out in game 7 over being, just killed for 4 straight games.
Tori, what about you?
I'm going to have to agree with Wyatt there too. The game, you got to take the game 7 getting blown out because at least at that point, like I said, you've gone toe to toe. You've given everything you've got for the first 6 games. You're tied 3-3. People are going to remember. They're going to, that game 7. They're like, man, they had it. They gave it their all. They may have just not had any gas left come game 7, and that's why they got blown out. Whereas if you get swept, they're going to be like, did they even try? It's not going to, there's a big difference in how your team is perceived from that point on. So game 7, hands down, you got to take that. And I don't care what sport it is. If they play a series like that, to lose in the game 7 is fine because you, at that point, you probably literally have left it all on the court, the field, wherever you're at. You've gave it your all. And sometimes you do. You just run out of gas, and a game 7 like that could happen where it's almost anticlimactic because there's just nothing left in the tank anymore.
And I'm going to have to disagree with both of you guys just because, if I run out of gas on game 7, that is on me. That is 100% me when I could have worked harder in the preseason or worked harder during the season. And I think that is going to eat at me so much more. But so I would rather get swept just so I know, hey, they were just a better team and I need to work harder. I need to work on X, Y, Z. not my conditioning. Just because, like, if I'm tired and just straight out of gas, I mean, it comes down to heart, and that shows that I probably had lack of heart at the end of the day. So the next one up here, I saw Joey pop something up here on Would You Rather. So we're going to go ahead and go with Joey's Would You Rather. I'm going to kick it to Tori first here. Tori, would you rather marry Combs or jump off a cliff?
I'm going to marry Combs because I got a soft spot for you gingers. I talked about that last night about like how I have a soft spot for redheads. I just do redheaded women. If they have if they're a redhead and they got green eyes, I'm going to melt.
Freaking crazy.
If they are Irish, I'm just going to marry them. So, like, I've seen it one time in my life. I was walking behind a flight attendant who red hair, green eyes, and Irish, and I had to follow her to whatever gate that she was going to. We were going to the same gate, and all I did was I was mesmerized just listening to her talk with her Irish accent.
So basically, what you guys are saying here is that Tori only
Tori's
finds beauty skin deep, and he stalks redheads. That's exactly what I heard.
Right. So
all I heard was you followed some innocent lady who did literally nothing. You followed her all the way to her gate, harassing her for her red hair and accent.
No, because I had to go to the same gate she was going to.
That is all I heard.
Tori just randomly got a brand new flight. Like, oh, I'm going to Germany now instead of.
He's like, I'm going to gate C, but by God, this tall Irish dread drink of water is going to gate B, so I'll be at gate B.
Wyatt, are you going to marry Combs or jump off a cliff?
I guess I'll marry Combs. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to die. I guess I'll marry Combs because then we could, have like a Cubs room. I don't know. This is a weird question.
Wyatt's
Pride Month, right?
Why I was gonna say Wyatt's already decorating a man cave with Brandon already.
Right.
You've thought about this, haven't you?
You have.
I have.
So I can swim. So I'm going to jump off a cliff, and usually at the bottom of a cliff, there's some water. So I'm going to.
Well, who's the waffle now?
What do you mean? I picked jump off a cliff. How's that waffling?
I picked home run in Game 7 of the World Series the other day on Halloween night, and I was considered a waffle.
I don't get it.
Yeah, because one time because so the question was, would you rather hit a home run in Game 7 of the World Series or hit a home run on a holiday? And one time in the entire history of the World Series, apparently it fell on Halloween night, and Wyatt's like, I want to hit a walk-off home run on Halloween, so that's why he got the waffle, because he essentially picked both.
Yeah, and I did not pick both. I picked jump off a cliff because I can swim, doggy paddle. That's I can't actually swim. I can doggy paddle. So fun fact, guys. My 3-year-old son's in swimming lessons, and so
are you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
you got your water wings, buddy.
Do they not have lakes out in Kansas? Like, they not have pools?
I mean, you walk out to a lake like waist deep and just sit there and hang out. You don't actually swim in a lake. That's weird.
People actually go in lakes?
Yes.
Have you not seen water in Kansas there, Wyatt?
No, I want you to take the lake.
Do you think it's just a
jump
giant
off
dust
the top
bowl,
deck
or?
and
Yeah. I mean, you can put your hand 6 inches in the water. You can't see your hand. So that's why you don't really swim in the lake.
I swim in lakes. You can't see your legs in your hands.
That's weird.
I grew up in
It's
swimming
just
pool.
lake water. It's not going to bite you.
We have manatees in Kansas.
No, you don't.
We do. Look it up. Tuttle Creek manatee. Look it up. So
Kansas manatees.
No, Tuttle Creek manatee. Look it up. I promise you. I'll actually show you guys a link. So Javier says, "Come to Miami. It is all kinds of fun." I'm guess what he's trying to say there.
All kinds of women.
All kinds of women. Oh, gotcha. So we might have to do a week show.
If we still go see Javi, I guarantee we all get arrested.
Yeah,
I guarantee Javi's bailing us out of jail.
No, Nana will. Nana says she's giving us 3 get out of jail free cards. And as Joey says, he would rather jump in a full of sharks or piranhas than marry Combs. So I don't think Joey likes Combs.
Maybe Combs likes your mom, Joey.
Wow. And on that note, guys, we'll be right back with some sports talk. We'll be right back, guys, here on the Man Hour. Stay tuned.
What is your name?
What?
What is your name?
Buck.
Where did you get that shirt?
It's funny that you should ask that. Head over to manhourradio.com. You can pick up the shirt up. $15.
And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buck along with Tori Anderson and the Wyatt Williams tonight. You can all find us on Twitter at manhour_Buck, manhour_TWW, and of course, manhour_Tori, all on the old Twitter machines. Also, if you are on youtube.com/manhour right now, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and share it with a couple friends. Tori would like 3 extra followers tonight, guys, because he's been following a lot of those robot women that show their boobs like all over the place, and every time he opens up,
really hot.
Every time he opens up the old Twitter machine, that is all he sees is weird horses and cucumbers.
We're like, hey,
what?
Hey, sweetheart, can you cash app me some money real quick? Right. But hey, in all legitimacy though, if you have fantasy football questions, right there,
exactly.
Tweet them to me, send them to me on Facebook, on the Man Hour page. Either way, got questions? You want to win your league, you come to me. If you want to finish in second place, then you talk to Wyatt.
Yeah, so with that being said, if you are a member at youtube.com/manhour, if you are a $2.99 or higher member, at least one time a week, we're going to give you an extra video every Wednesday morning of fantasy football, of who to pick up, who to get, and just some overall fantasy advice. So we should have the first one out. We're going to give that one out to you guys free next Sunday, July 4th, here at 8 p.m. East Coast time, because we will be off. So we will premiere that very first fantasy football show for you, which is starring Tori Anderson and possibly Wyatt themselves. So like I said, you guys got to be at least a $2.99 member or higher to get all access to that. But we'll give you the first one for free here on July 4th. So happy July 4th to everybody by getting some fantasy football advice from Mr. Tori Anderson himself, manhour_Tori. Tori?
Buck?
Wyatt?
Tori? Buck?
Doctor?
Cough, please.
Doctor. So, I mean, you both
everybody
might be too young.
coughed at the same time.
You both might be too young for that. So the movie Spies Like Us with Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd. Doctor.
Yeah.
One of the funniest.
I don't know
movies
what
ever.
movie that is, but I know those two actors. My dad watches a lot of movies.
The movie's called Spies Like Us.
I think I've seen that. I think I remember something where. Did they just say doctor back and forth a lot?
Yeah,
That's
I feel
exactly
like
what
that's
Tori
exactly
just
what I
said.
just did.
That's exactly what Tori just said. Good job, Wyatt. We are so proud of you.
Way to
Just go
follow along.
So speaking of spies, last year, the New England Patriots sat out 12 players because of COVID concerns from the 2020 season. Last night, guys, if you were watching the Man Hour, Combs broke the news that the NFL is allowing players to opt out of the 2021 season with pay. So with that being said, Wyatt, I'm going to kick it to you first. Last year, we saw the New England Patriots play this COVID card like champs, and they hit the draft good, and they nailed free agency. Do we see any teams in the 2021 season copy what the Patriots did in 2020, which I think is highly suspect of cheating, but we digress on that.
No, I don't think so. I think the only reason why I say that is because, we've seen a huge decline in numbers for COVID. We're finally getting people back in stadiums. We're finally getting, masks are going away. I don't remember the last time I wore a mask in a store here in Indiana. Our mandates have been gone for a while. So, I don't think so, because there's a lot of stuff has changed. It's not where we are not right now in the world where we were at the beginning of football season, which seems so far away, but really it actually isn't. It hasn't even been a year since football season had started, and it feels like it's been like 20 because of that situation we're in. Are we going to have football? I mean, I know personally myself at that time, and I know, Buck, you went through this too. Are we going to have high school football? Are we going to have school? Are we going to have, college football? Are we going to have pro football? Are we going to have fans? What fans? Parents? Family? How? There was even arguments in certain parts of the world, or not just the U.S., talking about like where we go with people seating of what is instant family. Like people were arguing, our grandparents' instant family, we are in such a different place in our world now than where we were just a few months ago, with so many questions have been answered that weren't answered before. We were all still left in the dark, didn't understand what was going on. So no, I don't think so. I think that trend was a 2020 trend, I should say, and it's 2021. It's a different year. It's a different time. The disease is different. It means a different thing now. I mean, I would go as far to say probably 60-70% of the world is the U.S. is probably vaccinated right now. It is a lot of people have been vaccinated. So no, I think that's a rearview mirror situation. I think we've passed that.
Corey?
I've already forgot the question because I have no clue where Wyatt went with everything with that. I'm just kidding. So, I don't know. Yeah, it's a completely different ball game this year than last year. The only reason I think that you could see some teams talk about it is if like they were literally trying to pull a tank job, but there is no Trevor Lawrence in the draft this year. So what is there? There's no incentive to really tank. So, I don't see a lot of teams doing it, or I don't see a lot of players opting out. There again, especially like some guys, like if you're in a contract year, why would you opt out? You want to go out and prove, you want to maximize your contract, everything else like that. There again, and Mike, you played football and it's still a brotherhood. You still want to go to battle with your brothers. You still want to be there every single day next to them. You want to help them win. You want to be in the trenches with them. So I don't think we're going to see it. Like last year was 100% legitimate concern about, the way things were going, because it was like touch and go. Like, we all kind of thought, are we even going to have a season? So the players that opted out, yeah, good deal. And there again, did the Patriots have a hand in it? I don't know, but whatever way it worked out perfect for them, because there again, it's the Patriots. So do you really expect anything less? But yeah, the only way are you really as a GM going to go to your like some of your best players and be like, hey, you know what? We really want to get a good draft pick. Like 3 or 4 of you guys should just sit out this year, and say COVID, collect your paycheck, still get your year of service, and but we're just basically going to tank and call the season a wash so we can get a better team around you next year. There's nobody in the right mind. Do you know what kind of heads would roll if that got out? People would be losing the job. We'd be looking at a situation like the Astros, where GMs would be getting suspended for a year, coaches would be heads would literally roll from all over the place if something like that got out. So I don't think even from that perspective that teams would do it, because the risk would way outweigh the reward of getting a high draft pick.
Well, it is funny that you bring that up, just because I think it is probably Bill Belichick and those guys use that kind of like a recruiting tactic. They're like, oh, you are a little bit worried, you should probably sit out. They aren't telling them to do that, but they are encouraging Tim to do that. Just like what you do when a player decides to go pro. I don't think you'll do very, very well in this year's draft. You should come back and you up your stock, right? I mean, in the end, it is helping your team out, and it's not necessarily, yes, it is in the end helping them out as well, but it's in return, it is helping the team out more. So with that being said, I think that you are going to see a team that does that this year. And the New York Jets come to mind, because the New York Jets aren't playing with they're kind of playing with house money this year. Let's just be honest. I mean, they got a brand new quarterback, they got a brand new offensive line, they got some weapons to play with, and quite frankly, those guys need an extra year to develop and figure out what they're doing. So why not give the head coach a free year, a free pass per se, to possibly get a number 1 overall pick again, or a second overall pick, since they couldn't tank right, I guess. But if you opt out, you can't practice, you can't be around the team facilities if you opt out. So it's almost not beneficial, because you're still not. What are you going to do? Look at the playbook? Yeah, I mean, you can still be a part of the Zoom meetings. You can still be a part of the virtual practices and like all that stuff. I mean, there's still ways around everything. You know that. You will find ways to work around it.
But it's like I said, if something like that were to break and they were to find out like the Jets front office did this, those players' heads would roll for basically collaborating with management to do something like this. It's like the repercussions would be ridiculous for getting caught legitimately tanking on purpose. It's like the NBA, like how the NBA hasn't cracked down on it, as much as they should have. I don't know, but they try, but it's almost impossible in the NBA, because like a lot of those NBA teams, like if they're bad, they're just going to be bad, and if they're not bad enough, they will sell off enough of their players to be bad.
Right. So Joey says, can we play PD Pablo, North Carolina, before we go into the ad break? He says we don't need the ad money. Joey, if you drop a super chat, then we will play it. But if not, we need the ad money to keep this man hour afloat.
I don't even know what that is.
North Carolina, go and raise up. Take your shirt off. Spin around your head like a helicopter.
Never heard of it.
Never heard that in my entire life.
We played it like 2 weeks ago. But with that being said, speaking of 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, the Red Sox swept the Yankees this last weekend, moving them to 47 wins on the season. Tori, are the Boston Red Sox the best team in the major leagues, even though they're losing to the Royals right now?
No, they are not. They're up there. They're not the best team in the majors, though. Right now, the two best teams in the majors are the Houston Astros and the San Francisco Giants. So even at 47 wins, the Red Sox, and we touched on this last night, the Red Sox would be in third place in the NL West. 3 divisional leaders, the Brewers, the Mets, and the White Sox, if they played in the NL West, they're leading their division, would be in 4th place in that division. So no, the leader right now for me, and I thought they would fall off, would be the best team in baseball is the San Francisco Giants at this point, because all they do is just keep winning.
Just win, baby, win, as Al Davis says. Wyatt, are the Red Sox the best team in the major leagues?
No, and I've actually genuinely surprised at how great of a season they've had. What Hoffy said that he had them at 28 to start the season off, and here they are playing like a top 5 ball club in the MLB. I agree with Tori though. As of right now, of course, we got to look at the Giants. Is my personal favorite because they also came out of nowhere too. I didn't expect this great of a year from them, but the Dodgers look really good right now because the Cubs didn't look good against them.
Because they field 7 All-Stars every single night.
Right. No, but I don't necessarily think they are the top team, but I absolutely would say they are a top 5 team for sure.
They are a top 5 team per Mr. Wyatt Williams. So, with that being said, Tori, you said the Giants and the Astros are your 2 top teams in the major leagues. Do they fall off toward the end of the year, or do you think they're going to, are they the real deal?
And we talked about this a little bit last night. Both of those West divisions, it doesn't matter, AL and NL, are really good divisions, with the exception, you get the Rockies and the Diamondbacks there, and you got the Rangers over in the AL. Those are the only bad teams. But right now, to try to continue to hold on to the lead, as of last night, I don't know if it changed from last night. San Francisco had a 4.5 game lead over the Dodgers, and I think a 5 or a 6.5 game lead over the Padres.
Right.
It's a long season. They have a lot of interdivision games to play yet. I would love to see the Giants do it just because the Giants have always been like my other club. So growing up, I was always like, I had a favorite AL team, which the Brewers were still in the AL at that time. And I had a favorite NL team. And I was a huge fan of Will Clark. So it was always the Giants. And then the Brewers went ahead and switched divisions on me. So, so I've always had a soft spot for the Giants, and I really do hope that they can keep it up. For them, it all depends what they do at the deadline. So I don't know if they should make a lot of moves. They have a real thin farm system still, so there's not a lot in the cupboard for them to give up, and they may just have to stay the course. Much like the Brewers don't have anything in their farm system, so I don't know what moves they could potentially make without having to give up one of their own starters. So I think, yes, the Astros for sure kind of hang on, and I think we're kind of seeing the Astros round into form, who they are. If a team's going to fall off, if one of those is going to fall off, it's going to be the Giants, just based off of how many games they have to play against the Dodgers and the Padres yet.
Right. And the Astros have not been caught for cheating yet, so that also helps on the other side.
Haven't been caught banging that trash can.
They've moved over to just having clickers, like click, 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 click.
They actually have fans, so fans beat the seats twice or whatever. But let's go ahead and ask this question here. So let's go ahead and flip back over to football here. Drew asked, Spygate, Deflategate, etc. What teams don't cheat in the NFL? Well, first things first, both of those teams were the Patriots. The Spygate and the Deflategate were both.
Oh, he said when don't teams cheat?
Yeah, I'm saying I can name several teams that don't cheat.
The Green Bay Packers.
No, the Eagles don't cheat because they never win.
No, that's the Jets.
It's the Cleveland Browns. That's the Jets, sir.
So let me legitimately ask you guys this: do you think cheating happens in the NFL every game?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're not cheating, you ain't trying.
Exactly.
That's the old adage.
Like old Jeff Gordon said, if you ain't winning, you ain't cheating.
Yeah. So it goes on every game. It's just a matter of how severe is it? Is it something minor where you're probably not going to get caught for if you do? It's like they say, holding happens on every play in football. They just don't call it all the time.
Right.
Same thing with people bending. They may not be quote unquote breaking the rules, but they are bending them to the extent where it could potentially be perceived as you are breaking the rules.
So what do you consider something that is like a quote minor offense?
I have no clue what that would be. Next question.
Well, I think in the sport of football, I think we could look at many things like, light hits, not so light hits, I guess. After the whistle, I think that's a big one. Like Tori mentioned, there's holding on every play. If you're a DB, you want to get that last little shove in before the ball is up in the air, before you get your pass interference call.
That's all like in the game, but I'm talking like pregame stuff, like filming the other team's practices or having a microphone in their locker rooms or something like. Do you guys think like cheating like that happens? Like, they have a water boy that has like a microphone on him and it's going into the coach's like headset or something.
I think
No.
the Patriots.
The Patriots.
Bill Belichick's son is now a water boy. You just see him on the other sideline working. Like, that's not suspicious at all, right? Hey, weren't you coaching special teams last year? Now you're the water boy for the other team every week that they're playing?
No, I mean, no, sir.
No.
Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and get into some NBA talk here. The Bucks beat the Hawks last night, and Chris Middleton went off. He was a star last night. Wyatt, can the Bucks win with just Middleton performing the way he did?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think, Middleton has only outscored Giannis 4 out of 14 playoff games so far. And with that, every single time the Bucks play, he is their X factor. Giannis is always going to put up your, 30 and 10 rebounds and, a couple of assists. Giannis is always going to do that. Giannis is also going to have pop-off games. But Chris Middleton is that X factor. He is that guy who, when he plays well, the Bucks are even better than what they were before. And I think he is absolutely what fuels this fire. He fueled the fire the other night. We saw that. He played incredibly. And like I said, he is their X factor. When Middleton plays good, these Bucks win, and they win without him too. But like I said, Giannis is always going to have those 30 points, 10 rebounds, and a couple of assists every night. But will Middleton have that? That is always the big question. And a lot of time that will kind of ride on do the Bucks win or do the Bucks lose? When Middleton plays very well, the Bucks have a very big trend of winning. When Middleton disappears and you don't see him and, he plays 35 minutes and only has 12 points, that normally is whenever you'll see the Bucks lose. So, yeah, I absolutely think that Middleton is the X factor in this situation, and I think that when he plays well, the Bucks play well.
Tori, you've been kind of a Middleton fan all season. Are you riding with him still? Is he the X factor for the Bucks?
So I'm about to drop some knowledge and take Wyatt to school. So get on the bus, buddy.
Oh,
so in order to be an X factor, you have to come out of nowhere. I read an article a couple of weeks ago, or actually, I don't even say a couple of days ago. And the more I look into it, the more true it is. Giannis is the Robin to the Chris Middleton Batman. He is the Batman of that team because Middleton can score from anywhere on the court. He can hit you from outside. He's got a great mid-range. He can hit you inside. Giannis has to go basically 10 feet in. As you notice, during any game, if Giannis is behind the three-point line, nobody guards him.
No.
Because he's going to hit 1 out of 15 of those.
He's going to brick it, most likely.
Right. But Middleton, no, you can bet there's going to be a defender in his face. Giannis gets the press and Giannis gets the accolades. Chris Middleton is the glue that makes that team to go. He is the leader of that team with Giannis. That is Batman and Robin. No, he is not the X factor. He is the man when it comes to Milwaukee because of the way that the offense almost has to run through him. And I will agree with you, as goes Chris Middleton, go the Milwaukee Bucks.
So you are saying how the Hawks can beat the Bucks is shut down Chris Middleton and then let the Greek freak eat?
Yeah, because Atlanta is a good three-point shooting team. Milwaukee can't defend the three-pointer. They're terrible at defending the three-pointer. And last time I checked, if you're letting a guy get 2 points and you're making 3, you're still outscoring them.
Why, you are a basketball guy. Do you think you let Chris Middleton or do you shut down Chris and let Giannis eat?
I think that if you shut down, I agree with Tori there in a sense. If you are able to shut down Middleton, like I said, most of the time when Middleton doesn't play good, the Bucks don't win. There's a big trend on that. So, if you're able to lock down Giannis from 10 feet in and you're able to stop Middleton completely and force Giannis to take shots he's uncomfortable with, I absolutely think that's a really good strategy against the Bucks because Tori's 100% right. Atlanta is an incredible three-point shooting team. They're a young three-point shooting team. so they can space the floor really well. They're all young, fast. They still move very well. So I think absolutely if they suck with defending the three. So if you can find a way to get good ball movement, get open looks at the three, absolutely.
So speaking of moving well and not moving well, Trae Young right now is not moving very well for the Atlanta Hawks. He stepped on the ref's foot last night and has a bone bruise and a high ankle sprain and is questionable for Game 5. Tori, I'm going to kick it to you first here. Can the Hawks win without Trae Young?
Yeah, if Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, if they all make like 70% of the shots, yes, they absolutely can. No, if trade is a no-go for Game 4, that is not a great sign for this young Atlanta Hawks team, which kind of sucks because I hate to say my Bucks lucked out against the Nets because all of a sudden injuries to Kyrie, injuries to Harden, yeah, but they kind of did. So it just sucks that you're not seeing that team at full strength. I think without Trae Young, there's almost no hope. And at that point, you're going down 3-1 against the Bucks. Good luck trying to come back because now you have to win the next 3 games, and 2 of those games are going to be in Milwaukee. Against just a rowdy crowd that is ready to go to the finals.
Yeah, and the Atlanta fans have been pretty rowdy, so there's going to be some payback, I think, happening when you get back up to Milwaukee. Wyatt, can the Hawks win without Trae Young?
Absolutely not. I don't think so whatsoever. I love all the young stars they have, but no, Trae Young is the heart and soul of this team. I don't want to take away anything from Luka when I say this, but Luka gets such high praise for how young he is and how well he commands his team. And I think it's the same for Devin Booker too. And I think that Trae Young is overlooked so much in that sense. Trae Young has been the leader and incredible force behind this Atlanta team. He has pushed them from one of the laughing stocks of the league to a Final Four team that's left now in the playoffs. So he's made him the real deal. He's the heart and soul of this team. Without Trae Young, the Atlanta Hawks are nothing. They won't be able to do anything without him. I can promise you that.
So a few things that you said there in that comment there, Wyatt, was that Trae Young is kind of the new face of the NBA, not trying to take any away from Luka. Once LeBron James retires and then the whole James Harden, KD thing all passes, who is going to be the new face of the NBA?
That's such a tough question. I think Trae is a candidate for it. I think Luka's a candidate for it. I think Giannis is a candidate for it. But honestly, the league kind of flourishes with guys who can drive to the basket really well and hit shots inside, big time scorers. And I think Zion is one of those guys too that's going to be highly considered. Jason Tatum. But if I had to choose one, I know I just said it, but I like Luka a lot. I think Luka is great. I think everything he does is awesome. His style of play is perfect. Like I said, not trying to take anything away from Booker or Young or Giannis or Zion, Jason, none of those guys. But Luka does some incredible things, and he's got a really good ownership and front office around him that will put key pieces behind him. So I think Luka is a really good candidate for it. If I had to put money on it, I think Luka is probably who I would put it on. Yeah.
Tori, are you following that suit?
So I'm going to tell why he's right and he's wrong again here. You're wrong on the fact that Trae Young is in the consideration. He's not going to be in consideration because he plays in Atlanta. And smaller market, not going to happen. It's the reason why Booker gets no run. We all know Booker's a great player, but it's because of the market he plays in. And I think going forward, when LeBron's gone and you're looking for that new face, it's going to be Luka and Giannis. And most of that has to do with the globalization of the game of basketball. And those are two faces that are worldwide recognized and loved.
Slovenia and Greece.
Right. So why would the NBA not capitalize on that to continue building that momentum? to continue building that pipeline of European players over to the NBA, because if you ask me, that influx of European players has made the NBA a much, much better game, because these are guys that are fundamentally sound, that they know how they've grew up playing the FIBA way. So they've grew up in a different set of rules, like where if you took 3 steps, you actually get called for traveling. It's just a whole different thing where there's an emphasis on free throws and making your free throws. My basketball coach, when I played basketball, he said free throws are the least sexiest thing, but they're the most important part of this game, because you can score a ton of points off of that. They said, so, if you're not a good free throw shooter, you're probably doing more harm to our team than you're doing good.
Yeah.
So
I can even back you up on that one. I can tell you from traveling the state of Indiana, where high school and even college basketball is, just put on the highest of high pedestals, almost next to God, honestly. I can tell you right now that 90% of the time, if a team loses, if it was a close game and the team loses, the losing team most likely 90% of the time had an issue with free throws. I can tell you that from experience of calling hundreds of games at the high school level where free throw shooting is just put way up. They love it. It's part of the game. It's the biggest part of the game. And I can tell you from calling and watching all those games, every single close game, every single one is pretty much decided on free throws.
Okay, so you guys gave me a couple names about that are going to be the names that will be the new faces of the NBA. But let's say if Devin Booker or Trae Young go to LA, do they become the face of the NBA to Tori?
Yeah, because of the marketing. The marketing will write itself for one of those players. And do I think one of them ends up there? 100% I do, because it's the Lakers. They will always be able to chase a star, because they offered not only the chance to be, quote unquote, a Laker guy, they get the chance to expose themselves to all the different marketing and all the endorsement deals that they can get that they might not get in a smaller market. And there again, it depends on the player. Like Giannis. Giannis has all the marketing deals that he could ever want because of the globalization of the game. He's a worldwide known name because he is from Greece. So it's a little bit different. If Trae was maybe a European-born player, we're having a different conversation. But he is an American-born player. So therefore, he probably, in order to be considered the face, would have to go to the Knicks, or he would have to go to the Lakers, or he may have to go to like a Dallas. He's going to have to go to a major marketing city. And that's just the way it is. For whatever reason, I don't agree with it, especially with today's day and age of like basically soft caps and the exposure that all teams have. But they are still just considered a small market. You know as well as I do, there are just certain teams that don't get the run that they should. And Atlanta is one of those teams, partly because they're a young team, but partly because of the market they play in.
All right, Wyatt, we have 1 minute. Does Trae or Devin Booker become the face of the league if they go to LA?
Absolutely, and my reasoning is because of this. There are 3 teams all time that every single face of the league has played for. They've either played for the Los Angeles Lakers, the Chicago Bulls, or the Boston Celtics. And it's just that simple. When you go to the major marketing cities and you become one of those guys, absolutely, they would become the face of the league. Every face of the league has played for at least one of those 3 teams.
All right, you guys heard it here first on Man Hour that Devin Booker will be a LA Laker and will be the face of the NBA in 2 years tops. So, with that being said, guys, we are going to take our third break of the night. On the other side of the break, we're going to give you the buy, sell, sleeper segment, and we're going to be breaking down the Philadelphia Eagles. We are going to give you guys one player to buy this season, one player to sell this season, and a sleeper pick, all from the Philadelphia Eagles this season. So sit back and relax and stay tuned as more Man Hour comes up right after this short little break.
Man Hour Nation brought to you by Brooks Roofing and Siding. Contact them at 812-868-7663 or online at brooksroofingin.com. Brooks Roofing and Siding, protection you need when nature strikes.
And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys, as we bring to you hour number 2 here on the Man Hour. Hour number 2 is brought to you by Brooks Roofing and Siding. Head over to brooksroofingin.com, or you can contact them at 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-7663, or you can simply head over to brooksroofingin.com. They have been in business since 2006, and they do great work. They go to battle for you with the insurance, and they are rated A+ on the Better Business Bureau. Also on Google, they also have a 5-star rating over there as well. Like I said, guys, hour number 2 is brought to you by brooksroofingin.com. So go ahead and bring the boys back onto the screen here. Let me bring everybody on here. There we go. And this buy, sell, or sleeper segment, why this is your first one here. So I'm going to explain to you what we do here. We basically give you a team, and the team is the Philadelphia Eagles. And I want you to buy a player that's going to have a great season. I want you to sell a player that's going to have a horrible season, Jalen Hurts. And I'm going to give you and then you're going to give me a player that's going to be a sleeper that's flying under the radar, that's going to have a breakout season. So with that being said, I'm going to kick it to Tori Anderson first here. Since we are talking the Philadelphia Eagles, Tori, give me a player that you are going to buy here in the 2021 NFL season.
Ooh. So, I mean, this may not be super popular with Eagles fans. However, I think they are going to move on from Zach Ertz at some point still. So I'm going to buy Dallas Goedert for this year. I think he really came on last year. He's kind of overtaken that number 1 tight end position. Ertz is obviously unhappy. I think with as young as that receiving core is in Philadelphia, you are going to see a lot of checkdowns to the tight end in that offense. And I think Dallas Goedert's probably going to be one of the better tight ends, or we're going to be talking to him about him as probably a top 10 tight end by the end of the football season this year. I am feeling really strong about Dallas Goedert coming into this year. I just don't see a ton of stuff with the receiving core. It all depends on how Devonta Smith, Jalen Reagor, Travis Fulgham, like if they all can develop and get that timing down. Maybe, but I think that's about another year away. Jalen Hurts is only in year 2. He was up and down. So I think I see a lot of checkdowns coming on in the 2021 season, and that's going to equal a lot of catches, a lot of yards, and a lot of touchdowns for Dallas.
So you think Ertz gets traded?
I do think Ertz gets traded or he gets cut. I don't know how much dead money he would be. But if they can get rid of him and get something for him, they're obviously going to do it. However, there again, it depends on teams. If nobody's biting, I thought he would have been traded by now, right? Because he all but said, "I want to be traded." So I don't know exactly what's going on. I haven't kept tabs on that situation super close. But if you look at their depth chart, Goedert is listed as the number 1 tight end, not Zach Ertz.
Interesting. Wyatt, give me a player to buy for the Philadelphia Eagles in the 2021 season.
Look no further than their newest, rookie wide receiver addition in Jalen Waddle. I mean, we saw what he did in college. Not much this year, but the years before. Do what?
He plays for the Dolphins.
Or Devonta Smith. Why did I say that? Sorry. Devonta Smith. I apologize so much. Sorry. Checked in now.
They're just when any chance of us ever getting Devonta Smith on our show.
Right. I fell asleep at the wheel.
There was much
I apologize, Devonta. No. Look no further, than Devonta Smith. We saw what he did in that national championship game. It was insane. I don't care about the height. I don't care about the weight. If you can play football, by God, you can play football. And he can. And it is going to be a lot of fun watching him play. He is a speedster, deep threat who can do really anything at any point on the field. You can put him out wide. You can put him in the slot. You might even be able to put him in the backfield at running back. Who knows? He's got the speed to do it. So I am really excited to see what this kid does. I am absolutely buying Devonta Smith.
You will be buying him some water because he will be the water boy for the 2021 season.
I'm buying Jalen Waddle. God, I can't believe I said that.
So on every side of the buy, there is a sell. So Wyatt, who are you selling for the Philadelphia Eagles in the 2021 season?
Well, you said it earlier, Buck, and I am not a big believer in him. I was at first, but then, it kind of just died off once I saw him play enough. That is Jalen Hurts. It was fun while it lasted, but I'm not buying him, at least not for this year. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done, a lot of moving parts that need to be moved, and I think that he is one of those guys that won't be a staple in Philly for too long. So I'm going to be selling Jalen Hurts.
Are you ready to put the bust label on him?
He was a second-round pick. I don't know if we can call him a bust.
Any player can be called a bust.
I mean,
unless you
no,
were like
not yet. I'm not putting the bust label on him yet.
No bust label. Tori, who are you selling for the Philadelphia Eagles this year?
I am selling Miles Sanders for them this year, just because right now they have 8. I mean, granted, we're going into training camp, but there's 8 running backs on that roster. There is 4 running backs that have started at least one NFL game behind him. So because Miles Sanders can't stay healthy, Boston Scott has started games for them. They picked up Kerryon Johnson from the Lions. They have Jordan Howard still, Elijah Holyfield. So there's a plethora of
they
running
still have
back
Corey Clement too, or did they get rid of Corey?
No, Corey Clement signed with the Giants.
Okay,
so he was a free agent. So he is gone, but still, you don't pick up running backs like Kerryon Johnson that started for other NFL teams. That's not a terrible running back if you have all the confidence in the world that Miles Sanders is your guy. So I'm going to sell Miles Sanders because A, they signed another basically starting running back. B, he has trouble staying healthy. He is a good running back when he's in there, but he cannot stay on the field for 16 games. So I'm going to sell all day long on Miles Sanders.
So I am never going to challenge your opinion on players that you think you should buy or sell. But here in the NFL, we are seeing basically a two-headed monster at the running back spot for most teams. Very few teams have a number one premier guy, and that one team might be the Carolina Panthers, maybe, if that. And so do you maybe think that they picked up Johnson just to add to that two-headed monster in the backfield?
No, because he's basically the exact same type of running back as Miles Sanders is. Their change of pace back is Jordan Howard. So he's basically like their power back, and Kerryon Johnson and Miles Sanders are pretty much speed backs that can catch the ball. They are almost the exact same, and Boston Scott's the exact same way.
Yeah.
So it made no sense unless you do not have the faith in Miles Sanders to A, stay healthy, or B, be your running back.
Maybe they don't have faith in their wide receivers to catch the ball, so that he's going to play some slot.
I mean, you never know with this team. It'll be interesting. I don't know. We could be talking for the next 10 years about the Eagles are basically the new Jets.
So how can Hurts turn his fortunes around and let you have faith in him this year?
Get a new wide receiver core other than Devonta Smith. Get a defense.
How can you say that, though? Jalen Reagor was hurt most of last year. Travis Fulgham played really well for the Eagles last year.
Yeah, but he just disappeared after that, though. He played really good for 5-6 weeks and then was just gone. Didn't play great at all for the rest of the year.
Because the quarterback play was inconsistent with that team last year.
Oh, yeah, but that's what the switch at that time that he stopped playing good was the time that they switched to Jalen Hurts from Carson Wentz.
You're talking about Fulgham,
now
right?
that Jalen Hurts is the head guy, that's what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing, hey, he didn't play with good them originally. I don't expect him to now. And I will give you Jalen Reagor. I actually like Jalen Reagor. I think that he was really good in college at TCU, and I think he still has some upside. But, man, after last year, it just seems like the guy can't stay healthy. That was not a good way to start off your rookie year because he wasn't you have Dalvin Cook, who tore his ACL. That's a season-ending injury. And most of the time, those are non-contact injuries. You can't help those. That just happens. Where Jalen Reagor was like hurt, healthy, hurt, healthy, hurt, healthy, hurt, healthy. It's like every other week he was in, then out, then in, then out. And he couldn't decide if he was hurt or healthy. There was a lot of red flags for me on that. I think, if you have one big injury, I understand because something tore, something broke. But if you're out every other week because of something different, I'm not a big that is not very appealing to me if I was an NFL GM looking for somebody to, lead my wide receiver core or possibly be a number 2. So I think that's really the biggest problem I have there with the wide receiver core is on top of, injuries and the fact that half of them last year couldn't catch a ball and the year before that couldn't either. Nelson Aguilar just forgot and then goes somewhere else and remembers how to catch a ball again. So I think the wide receiver core plays a big part in it. I also think that really the biggest thing for Hurts is he's got to be a leader. I feel like last year this Eagles team was so skewed all over the place. They weren't a family, and you could see it. You had the head coach fighting with the quarterback, and you had players like Zach Ertz who are franchise favorites. I mean, Eagles fans love Zach Ertz, and he's wanting to leave. Jason Kelce, who is, a staple of that team as well, who the man who phrased "Hungry dogs run faster," the statement for their Super Bowl run, he's not healthy or not happy there. So I think that it's part of the problem in Philly is not just that, injuries or they're playing bad. I think it's just they're not a family. I feel like it's not a team in a sense. They're kind of scattered everywhere. It seems like chaos all the time. I think that's really the biggest problem that I have with Philly and with Hurts is that they've really got to just pull it together and be one unit rather than, 20 separate units is what it seems more like. It's just chaos and it's not working for them.
So let me bring up this question here or statement, I should say, that Drew brought up. He says he is no way calling Hurts a bust. On average, any player coming from Alabama takes about 3 years for them to come out and be productive. So yeah, I believe, Tori, you said that with Derrick Henry. It took him about 3 years to really figure out how to run in the NFL. So Wyatt, what are your thoughts on this?
We're talking about a quarterback. That's a running back situation. I mean, I think that Alabama players take a little bit to kind of, hit their stride. But in the running back situation, I think Alabama quarterbacks Alabama quarterbacks historically have always been trashed. I mean, just terrible once they got to the league. So I think this is more of a positional issue because Alabama wide receivers seem to come into the league and succeed. You've got Julio Jones, who's had a great career. A lot of Alabama running or wide receivers coming from this class. I mean, so I think that's more of a quarterback situation there. And are we considering Hurts a Alabama or an Oklahoma quarterback?
True. Tori, what are your thoughts on that?
So their running backs take time to develop. Their wide receivers seem to come into the league and just immediately do things.
Ow.
Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs are kind of the exception to the rule where which was it? Ruggs was hurt and Jeudy had a bad case of the drops last year.
He had a bad case of 7-string quarterback.
Right.
Wide receiver playing quarterback.
They're like Alabama offensive linemen tend to do really well coming into the league, and their quarterbacks just never really pan out. However, can it take a little bit of time? Can you make a career out of it? Absolutely. There's been a couple of Alabama quarterbacks that did that. They were never great quarterbacks, but they were serviceable. Like Jay Barker. Jay Barker played in the league for 7 or 8 years and he was a Bama quarterback. AJ McCarron.
He's the next coming of Josh McCown or Ryan Fitzpatrick. Mr. Bounce across the league as a backup.
He was one of them that is Mr. Preseason MVP, because he was never going to see the field behind Andy Dalton. So he got developed. The only time you saw him was in the preseason. And so he would look great. And then he went out and because didn't he sign like a big deal with Buffalo or
it was the Texans?
I think
they drafted Deshaun.
Everybody signed with the Texans, a big deal, it seemed like.
Hey, funny story about AJ McCarron though. My dad met him and had no clue he met him. My grandma and grandpa own a store in the middle of nowhere, Indiana, and he was dating some girl from there, I guess. And he came in, and my dad like talked to him for like 20 minutes, and the guy left. And somebody came up to him and was like, "Do you know who that was?" And my dad was like, "No, who?" My dad's not a big sports fan. So he was like, "No, who?" And the guy was like, "That was AJ McCarron, starting quarterback for Alabama." He's like, "Are you serious?"
Judging by some of Wyatt's takes, I don't think Wyatt's a very big sports fan either.
All right. So getting back into the Philadelphia Eagles here, we've told you guys a player to buy and a player to sell. But Tori, give me a player that has been flying under the radar that is going to have a great season, a sleeper pick per se.
I don't think it's going to be a great season, but it's going to be a better season. It's going to be more consistent. And both of y'all can already shut your pie holes with this one because it is going to be Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is going to be a lot better quarterback with this year. I think the stability is going to help him. He was looking over his shoulder the whole time he was starting last year.
He was
with Carson Wentz. Doug Peterson lost that locker room. He lost that team. There was internal fighting. Nobody knew what was going on. And so I think that's where a lot of the inconsistency you saw from Jalen Hurts. Am I saying Jalen Hurts is going to be an all-pro, Pro Bowl quarterback? No. But I think you're going to see a more consistent quarterback and better quarterback play out of him. And it's going to be something that nobody expects because everybody expects him to come out and be terrible. And I don't think he's going to be terrible. I think he's going to be serviceable. And he will lead them to a couple of wins that I don't think that they were expected to do. There's going to be games that he looks like, oh my God, this guy looks just like he did in college where he was the second coming of whoever, and then there's going to be other games.
Throwing arm.
Right. Then there's going to be other games where you're like, this guy is awful. This is like the second coming of Ron Jaworski
Tim Couch is out on the field, everybody.
You technically would say the second coming of Doug Peterson because Doug Peterson started a few games for the Eagles when he was a player.
Why? Who's your sleeper pick for this year?
Man, and it ticked me off when you said this earlier, Tori, because I was so excited to say this. The person that Tori is buying is my sleeper. Now, we are both into fantasy football, so me and Tori know exactly who Dallas Goedert is. Well, let me tell you about Mr. South Dakota State. He is awesome. It is so much fun to watch him play, and he had a spike at the end of last year where he really kind of hit his groove. As you kind of saw Ertz, they had this sense of passing of the torch at little bit later than midseason, probably 2 weeks after, about week 10. They had this like passing the torch where like Zach Ertz just stopped and Goddard became that number one guy, and he had started playing great. So I think Goddard has to be my sleeper option here. He's a great tight end with a ton of potential. He's a guy who sat behind Ertz, so he's learned a lot from a really good tight end option, a guy who was a top 5 tight end for a long time while he was, and he still may be. It depends on where he goes and what he does there. But, so I think I'm really excited to see what Goddard does. He is literally a clone of Zach Ertz. If you watch them next to each other, they look the exact same. If you don't know which number is which and their names weren't on the back of their jersey, you would not be able to tell them apart. I'm telling you, they look the exact same. They play the exact same. And Philly has a really special tight end coming up right now that 90% of the NFL world does not know about. I'm telling you, Mr. South Dakota State, Mr. FCS is going to be awesome for the Philadelphia Eagles. He is my sleeper 110%. I've been saying this all offseason to all my Philadelphia Eagle friends, Blake, that Dallas Goedert is going to be awesome. I cannot wait to see what he does. He's going to be very exciting to watch.
So, Wyatt, let me ask you this question here.
Ready.
Philadelphia Eagles had an FCS quarterback in the name of Carson Wentz from North Dakota State, right? Or South Dakota State. How did he pan out?
North Dakota State.
How did he pan out for the Eagles?
He almost won a Super Bowl.
He put in back-breaking work, literally, for them.
So what makes you think that another Division I AA player is going to succeed in
Well, he's a tight end. It's the difference between a tight end and a quarterback. And also Frank Reich being there and not being there played a huge part in what Carson Wentz was. We'll see that this year, I promise.
Would you trade Carson Wentz straight up for Aaron Rodgers?
No.
No. What kind of silliness is that?
Why not? Wentz is a top 10 quarterback.
No, he's
Rodgers
not.
top 3.
All right, guys, we'll be right back here on the Man Hour. On the other side of the Man Hour, we're going to talk a little bit of Baker Mayfield and who is under more pressure in the 2021 NFL season. Quarterback coach duo. Coming up here on the Man Hour. We'll be right back, guys.
How many times can you say it?
And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. As the Buckheiser household is going off the chain right now. Mama, 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 mama. As my little man wants his mama. And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. If you have not done so already, head over to youtube.com/Man Hour and hit that subscribe button. We are 12 subscribers from 1,700. Let's get that 1,700 by the end of the week before the 4th of July, because on July 4th, Mr. Torian Anderson himself, fantasy football god, I'm going to give you that Greek god name, Mr. Fantasy Football himself, is going to drop his first ever Man Hour fantasy clip here. So if you guys
Football-onius.
Football-onius. All right, Mr. Football-onius, how can people get more content from you?
All you got to do is just subscribe. Become a $2.99 member a month. It's only $3. You want to win your league. I want to help you win your league. $3 a month. Every week you get a segment from me telling you how to win your league. I will give you players to pick up. I will give you players to drop. I will tell you trades you should make, trades you shouldn't make, when to panic, when not to panic. That whole spiel, that's worth $3, whatever your league buy-in is. So let's say $3 to win 150. I'll take that trade every single day of the week.
And if you guys have any questions whatsoever, you can get to him at manhour_Tory, and he will answer your question specifically in the video as well. So follow him on Twitter. You could also follow Wyatt on Twitter as well, as Wyatt will be guesting in that as well. But if you want second place, you can talk to Wyatt. If you want first place, you can talk to Tori. So we will, but those two heads.
I'm in it every year, boys.
Those two heads
Just can't get over that
combined is guaranteed to get you first place. So I heard you heard it here words. Guaranteed to get you first place.
Guaranteed.
So guys, we have had a football heavy hour number 2, and we are going to continue the football talk. So we have seen some massive trades, some massive transactions here in the offseason, i.e. Stafford going to LA, Wentz going to Indy, and then of course Jared Goff going to Detroit. So Wyatt, Tori, I'm going to kick it to you first here because you had the most common sense sometimes. I want to see where you go with this. Which quarterback head coach duo is under the most pressure going into 2021 season? Is it Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford, Frank Reich and Carson Wentz, or Jared Goff and Coach Campbell?
I'm going to have to go with Frank Reich and Carson Wentz. Everybody's expecting everything from them because of the connection they had when they had in Philadelphia. That is a very, very, very good Indianapolis Colts roster that they have. The expectation to win and go deep to the playoffs and make a Super Bowl run are real and legitimate when it comes to Indianapolis. I think, as far as like Detroit goes, we got a year or two before we start talking about that. There could be a ton of pressure on McVay.
We got a decade before we start talking about that. They've still got 3 more head coaches and 4 more quarterbacks to go through before we talk about anything like that.
I don't think that there's a ton of pressure on McVay and Stafford just because the LA market isn't brutal to their football teams because they don't care. So, it's not the Raiders, so they're gone. They're in Las Vegas. So I don't think there's a ton of pressure there. If you ask me, it has to be on Frank Reich and on Carson Wentz just because of that, the way the roster is currently construed and the amount of talent, and that it's a Super Bowl ready roster.
100%. Why? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I could promise you which team it's not, because Detroit is going to have zero pressure on them whatsoever. If they come out and they are 1-7, or if they are 0-17, 1-16, nobody's going to care. And if they're 8-9, nobody's going to care. So they've got zero pressure on them at all. So
Luke G is going to come on here and tear you apart.
Huh?
Luke G is going to come on here and tear you apart.
Hey, bring on Luke G, man, because I'm telling you, there's no way they get more than 8 wins this year. There is no way. Buck thinks it's 10. Luke G is at least a little better. He thinks it's 8 or 9, so I'll give you that, Luke G.
He said 8 to 10. He said 8 to 10. He said
8 to 12, sure. But so when we really look at it, I think there's a lot of pressure on both. It's a tough decision, though, because like Tori mentioned, you do have the Super Bowl MVP connection between Frank Reich and Carson Wentz. We saw how dominant they were the last time they were together. Everybody remembers the hungry dogs run faster thing, as well as whenever you look out at LA, they've got an incredible roster, too. They've got a great defense. Essentially, I'm not going to lie to you, they're kind of the same team, same situation. Except for the only difference is Frank Reich has been with Wentz before and McVay has never been with Stafford. So that's the only difference, because when you look at it, both teams have good, solid offenses that can put up a lot of points, as well as an awesome defense, the top 5 defense, top 3 actually for both of them, to back it up as well. So they both have new quarterbacks. So I think the pressure's pretty evenly disputed across. The only thing I will agree with Tori here, the only reason why I will say the Colts have a little more is because of that connection they've already had with the MVP year for Carson Wentz, almost MVP year, and because of the Super Bowl that they won. Carson Wentz, of course, on the sideline because he got hurt, but he did lead them to that point. So I think there's a little more pressure on that because these two have already succeeded together rather than what McVay and Stafford have done. I think both teams have a lot of pressure, though. I think both teams are going to succeed this year and going to be valid Super Bowl candidates, both sides. Absolutely, I think they will. So it's going to be exciting.
So Wyatt, I'm just going to ask a quick question to Wyatt. So this is just a yes or no answer. Did you waffle again?
Did I waffle again? No, I gave an answer. I said Colts.
That is wrong. You
I
were
said
saying
close,
they were
but
even.
it's very.
You said the
it is close. It's absolutely close. Everybody's talking about how the Rams have this big Super Bowl opportunity. The Colts have the big Super Bowl opportunity.
Whoa.
Stafford's finally got a good receiver again since Calvin Johnson. Stafford's finally got a good coach for the first time ever. So, there's a lot of pressure on both, I think. But I will say the Colts have more pressure there. The Colts, I'm about to say Sean McVay. Carson Wentz and Frank Reich have more pressure there.
Do you want to call Devonta Smith Jalen Waddle again?
Everybody happy? Yeah. Jalen Waddle is in Philly and Devonta Smith's in Miami. That is all.
All right. So let me bring up this question because I had the same question that like Drew has here. And you guys said that that basically that the Detroit Lions have no pressure on them this year, but they did trade for a top tier quarterback in Jared Goff, and they gave up actually quite a bit to get him and Matthew Stafford plus some picks, if I'm not mistaken, on that. So Tori, how do the Lions have no pressure to succeed this year?
Because it's a brand new head coach, it's a brand new quarterback in a brand new system.
It's a terrible quarterback.
He's not a terrible quarterback, though. I mean, he went to a Super Bowl, Wyatt.
Yeah.
Well, come
so
on
he's
now.
not.
Hold on.
He's not. He is not a terrible quarterback. He's not a top tier quarterback, but he's not terrible.
He's terrible now. He was better there. He was better his Super Bowl year.
He's only been in the league 5 years.
Yeah, and he's trash now. He had one okay year where he was carried by Todd Gurley, who was incredible that year, an incredible defense, an incredible wide receiver core, and he still got beat in the worst Super Bowl ever.
So I know a trash quarterback when I see it, aka Lamar Jackson being represented by his mom in a contract extension year. But that's besides the point. Do you think maybe Jared Goff just had down years because everybody picked up on the Sean McVay offensive system and he refused to evolve that offense after that Super Bowl run, Wyatt?
I can promise you right now, whatever down year that Jared Goff had in LA, it was nothing compared to the down year he's about ready to have in Detroit. I can promise you that.
And that's not because of the new system, the new head coach, everything that you just listed of why they have no pressure?
I mean, Jared Goff is literally going to have to fend for his life at practice. They're going to have a live lion on a chain at practice.
That's cool.
And we're expecting them to have pressure to win a Super Bowl or whatever we're expecting this pressure for. No, I promise you there is no pressure.
I'm not saying pressure to win a Super Bowl, but I'm saying pressure to be a winning team.
No, because I think they know who they are. They know who they are. They know they're
Jared Goff.
Not going to contend.
Jared Goff probably knows that this is his 1 year in Detroit. He's literally just there's no way he bought a house. He's living in an apartment. All of his stuff is still in boxes because at the end of this next year, after the Lions draft a quarterback, he is going to go elsewhere. I'm telling you.
So I have heard reports that the Lions saying that Jared Goff is no bridge quarterback. He is their guy. Tori, do you think they're going to draft a quarterback next year?
No. Not in the first round, maybe later rounds, but looking for a backup. I think Jared Goff is their guy. I think Dan Campbell had insight into this and said, you know what, I like his game. This is what he does. You got to remember, even though Dan Campbell's never been a coordinator, he was the interim head coach for the Dolphins for a little bit, and then he did go to the Saints. So he got to watch players like Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston that were not great players come into an offensive scheme and do really well and flourish in that scheme. So now he has a quarterback that's not Drew Brees, but is better than Jameis Winston and better than Taysom Hill. He has an offensive line. The only thing that they got to do is they got to develop some of the weapons around him. So I don't think this is as bad as everybody wants to make it out to be. But this year, there is no pressure on them to be a winning team. There's pressure on them to be terrible, but show progress. And that is literally what it's going to be.
So with all that being said, you guys said the two teams that have the most pressure to win the quarterback head coach duo are the Colts and the Rams. So let's say both of these teams have a 4-13 season. Which head coach gets fired at the end of the season? Colts or
Both.
Rams?
Both.
No, no. I would say if anything, it'd be the Rams, just because this is Frank Reich's first year back with Carson Wentz. He's going to get a pass on it. Sean McVay, just based off of his defense alone, has already used up his pass last year, and be like, why are we not contending? So I would say McVay would probably be on a little bit hotter seat over Frank Reich.
I think so too, but at the same time, I can almost guarantee you, with the talent that's on both of these teams, if they don't make the playoffs, I can almost guarantee you that the Rams will absolutely go elsewhere, and the Colts will consider. Now, if they went 4-13, both coaches are gone. I promise.
But my thing is something for those teams to go 4-13, things would have to go completely sideways. Yeah. And chances are at that point, there was a lot of injuries and whatever that happened. And at that point, you're not going to fire a coach because injuries are part of the game. You're not going to get rid of a coach because you can't stop injuries. If you have 7 starters go down, or like the Niners last year, they were missing 13 starters at one point.
Yeah, ridiculous.
You almost get a pass at that because there is nothing you can do. You're basically running a second unit out there, and you're doing what you can.
So they were still competitive, though.
Right. And so if you're 4-13 but competitive every game, you're not getting rid of your head coach based off that because your team had a run of bad luck when it comes to injuries for that year.
Well, any closing thoughts on that?
Nope.
All righty, guys. So Baker Mayfield, he is in his 4th year, and he has, he had a great standout year last year. Many people thought he was going to be the MVP. However, he does have 1 year or 2 years left on his deal. So, Tori, if you are the general manager of the Cleveland Browns, are you looking to extend Baker Mayfield's contract now, or does he have another year to prove it?
I'm looking to extend him now. And the reason being is because that salary cap number is down this year. So if you could extend him and get him a little bit cheaper because with the salary cap number being down before knowing what it's going to be going forward, 100% you take that because it's going to save you money this year right away. So it all depends what the rest of the deal looks like. But I would take that because you are almost going to get him, I would say, for $3, $4, $5 million cheaper this year alone versus the rest of the contract. So yeah. I don't care who you are. If you could save money as a franchise, you're going to do it. And there's no better chance that you're ever going to have that when a salary cap drop, because you are going to almost never see that salary cap drop again unless another pandemic happens.
Right. And with that being said, it seems like the last 4, 5, 6 years, every time a quarterback comes up for a contract, he is the next highest paid guy. So he probably needs to get paid before Lamar, paid before Dak, and some other big names. Josh Allen comes to mind as well.
Yeah, Dak's locked up. Dak's locked up for 6 years, $240 million.
That's right. He did sign that deal. I forgot about that. Wyatt, what are your thoughts on this? Would you extend Baker?
Yeah, I think I would extend Baker now, but especially before he has this pop-off season, because once he has this, he's going to be wanting even more money than what he was before, because now you're kind of like, we're at the point now where we're getting just a taste of what he can be. So now is the moment where the Browns should be like, look, if this guy is going to pop off this year, when this guy pops off this year, he's going to want double what we're going to pay him. So I say we extend him now, save ourselves a little bit of cap room, and, go on with life. Get our quarterback for cheaper than what we would if, we allow him to have an MVP season before. So I think that they could play both sides.
What do you consider popping off?
What he's about ready to do. I consider Baker Mayfield, he is going to be top 3 in MVP votes this year.
So he's going to have an MVP caliber season.
Absolutely.
So let's say the Browns do not lock him up and he has an MVP caliber season. Does he leave Cleveland?
No.
Cleveland doesn't let him leave. But the thing is that he has an MVP caliber season. Before you extend him, you are now going to be costing yourself an extra $10 to $20 million.
Yep.
Yeah. And they do have a lot of young talent getting ready to come up for contracts as well. Nick Chubb,
and the way we've been
Henry Jones.
The way sorry, but go ahead.
Go ahead.
In the way that they've been paying quarterbacks, it might be 10 to 20 million per year that they're missing out on.
Yeah.
No, it'll be more than that.
All right, guys. So we do have Shop Talk coming up here in the last 10 minutes of the Man Hour here at the last 10 minutes of the show. So if you guys want to talk about anything, let us know in the chat. And hour number 2 is brought to you by Brooks Roofing. Head over to brooksroofingin.com for all of your roofing and siding needs. That's 812-868-ROOF, 812-868-7663. brooksroofingin.com. Owner Bradley Brooks. So great guy, guys. We'll be right back here on the Man Hour. And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckeyes along with Tori Anderson and the Wyatt Williams tonight. We've had an action-packed show, but it is time to open it up to the fans and our Shock Talk section. So if you guys want to talk about anything, let us know in the chat, and we will be happy to discuss it. Tori, I just got an alert on my phone that the Reds are beating the Phillies right now 12-5. So that Cincinnati Reds tattoo is looking ever much more clearly on your body each and every day. So are you excited about that?
It'll never happen.
It will never happen.
They're what, 10 games out?
I have no clue. I have no I know there was a span there when they dropped like 10 or 11 in a row or something.
I'm pretty sure Castellanos just had a grand slam, something like that.
Although there was the 1 year. So the year I met Trey Wingo, and we were talking, it was just past the All-Star break. And I was standing there talking to Trey Wingo, and we were talking about the Brewers because I had my old school Brewer hat on. And he's like, man, they're looking good. And I said, I'm not calling nothing. I'm like, I'm worried about our pitching, da-da-da-da-da. We had a 10.5 game lead in the division that day, and we missed the playoffs.
Wow. That's tough, man. But never say never, right? Never say never.
Right. So the Reds are 6 games out.
That's not horrible, right?
I mean, it'll be 12 by the end of the month, so of July, not June. That's really going to come of days.
They are going to drop 6 games in 2 days.
They're playing triple headers, and they're going to lose all of them.
So, I mean, if you play double headers, you play 7 innings. So, if you would have played a triple hitter, like, are you playing like
just
a 4
play 5 innings? Play 5 innings.
Just 5 innings would be perfect, right?
Right.
So,
like
guys,
back to playing Little League.
Exactly. And with a run rule like limit, you can only score five runs per inning or whatever. So the Olympics trials are happening right now, guys. And with that being said, Wyatt, are you excited about the Olympics?
Absolutely. It's where we get to watch our great country compete against all the other countries in the world in sports and win.
And win.
And win.
Are you gonna,
Dubs only.
Are you gonna be like DJ Khaled now and be like, all I do is win, 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 no matter what?
It's my favorite song. I'm just
to be
kidding.
honest,
That's
honest,
Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus. It's my favorite song.
I bet you the United States would be a lot more productive in the Olympics if some of the best athletes were to be in the Olympics. Because think about this. Yes, we have world-class sprinters and stuff like that, but all these football players and basketball players, they can jump out of gyms and jump forever, and they're not doing like long jump or triple jump or pole vault or anything just like that. I mean, I always think the USA is kind of behind the 8 ball when it comes to the Olympics. Tori's, any thoughts on that?
I hate the Olympics. I never watch them. I just really
What?
don't. The only thing I will watch is basketball. That is the only thing I watch. I do not watch the Olympics. I never do. I'm like, this is awful. Let's whoop-de-doo. Because I will tell you why. ESPN, with their stupid, like back in the day, medal count, everything every day when the Olympics, the medal count, who gives a crap what the medal count is? I could care less. You know, I don't get it. And like, it really like soured me on the Olympics to like try to like make it out like we're the best country in the world at everything when that's literally impossible for us to be. So I don't like the Olympics. I hate it. It's the worst 2 weeks of television ever.
So what is your favorite segment in the Olympics?
Honestly, this is crazy. A lot of people are expecting me to say basketball right now or something else. My favorite part of the Olympics every year is shot put. And that is because I used to throw shot put, and it is crazy to me how certain people can throw a shot put that far. I mean, it is incredible. I love watching shot put, but also I love watching people run and race. So like any of the sprints are cool. The 100-meter dash, 200-meter dash,
Yeah.
The 400, any of the relays are super cool because that involves teamwork. You know, if you, the craziest thing about sprinting is if one hand is, if your hand's here versus here, it can make a difference in 0.5 seconds of your time in a handoff. It's crazy. So like, I think that's super interesting watching how the handoffs work. God, there's a lot of it.
It's very important to take into their professional track and field career.
Yeah, that is one thing. We don't have a lot of like pro sports league. That's what I always find crazy. Like it's kind of cool too to get to revisit all the great athletes that we have in America. Like once you, for example, I'll just use volleyball as an example. Once you're done playing volleyball in college, I mean, you can go to Europe and play, but it's not really like, I mean, it's a pro league, but it's not at the same time. Like, it's not like what the NFL is or what the NBA is or the MLB.
Beach volleyball league.
Right now, you go play it in summer volleyball league in the Olympics. So when you have
there's actually a summer beach league.
There's professional beach volleyball players.
Yeah,
there's an actual professional league.
No, it's every year there's a bench.
Yeah. That's where a lot of those girls that go to the Olympics go to play in that beach. Like it's 2-on-2 and they go play that. Like, and there's actually decent money in being a professional beach volleyball player.
Yeah. There's actually a professional pickler thing or pickleball thing too. That's
pickleball.
That's cool. Yeah.
Pickleball.
Yeah. So why? How do you not know there's professional beach volleyball? It's on ESPN all the time, literally.
No, I mean I knew there was.
It's because we don't care about you, Wyatt. Unfortunately, man. Wyatt, send us out, big guy. Or Tori, send us out.
Man, our nation, rise up.
And after show has started, guys. Head over to youtube.com/manhour. If you are a member, the after show is live. Join us. We there.